When we think about the news coming out of Iran, it can feel distant, almost unreal, like something happening in a story far away from our own lives. Yet, if we pause for a moment and look closely, we realize that disruption, the kind that war brings, has a ripple effect that touches every corner of the world, including our own. It reminds us, in the most unambiguous way, that life is unpredictable. No matter how secure we feel in our jobs, our investments, our relationships, or even in the routines we cling to, the truth is that disruption is not a possibility. It is a certainty. And the Iran war, like any major conflict, serves as a mirror, reflecting this reality back to us in vivid colors. Wars are not just about politics or power, they are about instability. They shake the very foundations upon which societies, economies, and families stand. When a war erupts, markets tremble. Prices of essential commodities fluctuate wildly. Energy supply chains, trade routes, and international agreements that we take for granted suddenly become uncertain. The disruption that comes from such conflicts doesn't respect borders. It does not care whether you are directly involved or watching from thousands of miles away. Its impact is global, and it reaches into the fabric of daily life in ways we often overlook. For instance, a rise in oil prices due to geopolitical tension might mean higher costs for transportation, for electricity, for the very food we consume. And as costs rise, anxiety rises too, because disruption is not just financial, it is emotional, psychological, and spiritual. But disruption is not limited to economics. It challenges our assumptions, our sense of stability, and our belief in predictability. We often live with the illusion that we are in control, that the world follows a logical, orderly path, and that our plans, no matter how meticulous, will unfold as expected. And then suddenly, an event like the Iran war reminds us that life is far from linear. Plans that seemed solid can crumble in an instant. Dreams that seemed within reach may face unexpected obstacles. And in that moment, we are confronted with a choice. Do we allow fear and uncertainty to paralyze us? Or do we acknowledge the reality of disruption and find a way to move forward with clarity and courage? Disruption also tests our priorities. When conflict breaks out, it strips away the non-essential, leaving only what is truly critical. Governments focus on defense, communities focus on survival, and individuals focus on what matters most to them. Similarly, in our personal lives, disruption, whether in the form of conflict, illness, financial stress, or emotional turmoil, forces us to reassess our priorities. It encourages us to ask hard questions. What is truly valuable? What am I holding on to out of habit rather than necessity? How do I invest my time, energy, and resources wisely in a world that can change overnight? Another important aspect of disruption is that it exposes our vulnerabilities. In times of peace and stability, it is easy to believe that our systems, our institutions, and even our personal routines are infallible. We may assume that life will continue as it always has, that crises are someone else's problem, and that we are somehow immune to the chaos of the larger world. Yet, when disruption strikes, we see that no one is immune. Vulnerabilities are revealed, gaps in our preparation, weaknesses in our plans, or even the fragility of our mental and emotional resilience. And while this can be uncomfortable, it is also an opportunity. Recognizing our vulnerabilities is the first step toward addressing them fortifying ourselves, and building a life that is less dependent on external stability and more rooted in internal strength. Finally, the reality of disruption reminds us of impermanence. Nothing lasts forever, not wealth, not security, not influence, and certainly not the world as we know it at any given moment. Wars, natural disasters, economic crises, and personal challenges all serve as reminders that life is in constant flux. By embracing this truth, we can approach life with a sense of humility and presence. We learn to appreciate the present moment, to invest in things that truly matter, and to cultivate a mindset that is adaptable, resilient, and open to change. So, when we look at the Iran war, we must do more than read headlines or watch news clips. We must see it as a lesson in the reality of disruption. It is a wake-up call that teaches us that life will always have uncertainties, and the sooner we accept this truth, the sooner we can start preparing ourselves, not just financially, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, to navigate the storms that will inevitably come. Disruption is not an enemy to fear, it is a teacher to respect, and those who learn from it, who invest in resilience, adaptability, and awareness, are the ones who emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable of turning challenges into opportunities. In essence, the reality of disruption is a mirror held up to every one of us. It asks us, are you ready to face life as it truly is? Or are you clinging to illusions of control? Are you prepared to grow through uncertainty, or will you be broken by it? The answer to that question will determine not only how we survive crises like the Iran war, but how we thrive in a world that is, and always will be, beautifully unpredictable. Time it is the only thing in life that once gone, never comes back. Money can be earned again. Opportunities may return. Even relationships can be rebuilt. But time, once it slips through your fingers, it is gone forever. And yet, most of us treat it so casually, so carelessly, as if we have an unlimited supply of it. Let me ask you something honestly. How much of your day is truly meaningful? And how much of it is just distraction? You wake up with plans, with goals, with intentions to do something productive. But somewhere between checking your phone for just a minute and scrolling endlessly, hours disappear, not minutes, hours. And at the end of the day, you feel tired, but not fulfilled, busy, but not productive. Distractions today are more dangerous than ever before because they don't look harmful. They come disguised as entertainment, as relaxation, as just a short break. You tell yourself, I deserve this. I'll just watch one video, scroll for a few minutes. But you already know how that story ends. One video turns into 10, a few minutes turn into hours, and your dreams quietly get postponed again. The biggest problem with distractions is not that they waste your time, it's that they steal your focus. And focus is your greatest asset. When you lose focus, even the simplest tasks feel difficult. You start something, then your attention shifts. You try again, then another notification pulls you away. Slowly, your mind becomes trained to avoid effort and chase instant pleasure. And here's the harsh truth. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, you are choosing a weaker version of yourself. You are telling your mind, I cannot stay committed, I cannot stay focused. And over time, this becomes your identity. But understand this clearly, your future is created by what you do daily, not once in a while. not when you feel motivated, but every single day. Small actions, repeated consistently, shape your destiny, and distractions break that consistency. Imagine you are trying to build something meaningful, a skill, a career, a better life. It requires time, patience, and effort. But distractions keep interrupting your progress. It's like trying to fill a bucket with water while there are holes at the bottom. No matter how much effort you put in, you don't see results. And eventually, you feel frustrated and give up. Another thing about distractions is that they give you the illusion of progress. You watch motivational videos, you read quotes, you consume content, and you feel like you are doing something important. But consuming is not creating. Watching is not doing. Learning without applying is just another form of distraction. You must ask yourself a powerful question. Is what I am doing right now bringing me closer to my goals or taking me further away? If the answer is the second one, then you already know what needs to change. Now, this doesn't mean you should never relax or take breaks. Rest is important. But there is a difference between intentional rest and mindless distraction. Rest recharges you. Distraction drains you. Rest has a purpose. Distraction has no direction. To take control of your time, you need awareness first. Start noticing where your time is going. Not what you think you are doing, but what you are actually doing. Because sometimes the gap between those two is shocking. Then start setting boundaries. Your phone, your apps, your environment, they should not control you. You should control them. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Keep your phone away when you are working. Create a space where focus becomes easier. Also, train your mind to stay with one task at a time. In the beginning, it will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will crave distraction. It will look for excuses to escape. But if you stay consistent slowly, your focus will strengthen. Just like a muscle, the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. And remember this, discipline is not about doing what you love. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Because your feelings will change, but your goals require commitment. My dear friends, your dreams are not destroyed in one big moment. They are quietly destroyed in small moments of distraction, repeated every day. Every time you say, I'll do it later, every time you choose comfort over effort, you are moving further away from the life you want. But the good news is, you can change this. Starting today, starting now. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a perfect schedule. You just need a decision that your time is valuable, and you will no longer waste it on things that don't matter. Because at the end of your life, you will not regret the chances you took or the hard work you did. You will regret the time you wasted, the moments you lost, and the dreams you kept delaying. So take control of your time, protect your focus, and remember, what you do today is creating your tomorrow. Comparison, it is one of the quietest killers of happiness. It creeps into your mind without warning, disguising itself as motivation or inspiration. You scroll through social media and see someone else's achievements, their vacations, their success stories, and before you realize it, you start questioning yourself. Why am I not there yet? Why is their life so much better than mine? That little question seems harmless at first, but it quickly grows into a shadow that follows you everywhere. It clouds your thoughts, steals your joy, and creates a constant feeling of inadequacy. The truth is, comparison is meaningless because every life is different. Everyone has a unique journey, unique struggles, and unique timelines. You don't see the full picture of anyone else's life. You only see the highlight reel. You don't know the sleepless nights, the failures, the sacrifices, and the pain that went into those moments that look perfect from the outside. And yet somehow, your mind tricks you into thinking that someone else's life is a standard you are failing to meet. Comparison also distracts you from your own growth. When you are busy looking at others, you are not looking at yourself. You are not noticing the progress you have made, the challenges you have overcome, and the skills you are developing. Every individual has their own pace, and your journey is yours alone. But when comparison takes over, you start measuring your worth against someone else's achievements, and that measurement is always unfair, always incomplete, and always painful. Another danger of comparison is that it creates a cycle of envy. You may start admiring someone, and that admiration slowly turns into jealousy. You see someone living their dream, and instead of being inspired, you feel frustrated or resentful. You forget that life is not a race. You forget that happiness is not a trophy to be won by being better than someone else. And slowly, comparison erodes your peace of mind, your self-confidence, and your joy. The problem is not that someone else is successful. It's that your focus is on them rather than yourself. You are giving energy to someone else's life when you should be giving it to your own. Every minute spent comparing is a minute not spent improving, creating, or enjoying your own journey. And this is the subtle tragedy. Life passes by while your mind is stuck measuring itself against others instead of living fully. So how do we overcome this? First, you must become aware of it. Notice when you start comparing. Notice when you scroll and your thoughts begin to spiral. Awareness is the first step to freedom. Once you recognize it, you can consciously choose to redirect your energy. Instead of asking, "Why am I not like them?" ask, "What can I learn from this? How can I become better in my own way?" Gratitude is a powerful antidote to comparison. When you focus on what you have, you shift your attention away from what you lack. Gratitude reminds you that you are already rich in ways that no one else can measure. Your experiences, your relationships, and your unique talents, and your personal journey. When you learn to appreciate your own life, the urge to compare naturally diminishes. Another important step is self-acceptance. Accept yourself as you are, with your strengths and weaknesses, your victories and failures. Understand that your value does not come from being better than anyone else. It comes from being authentic, from living in alignment with your own purpose and values. When you accept yourself, comparison loses its power because you no longer need validation from external benchmarks. Remember that life is a journey, not a competition. Someone else's success does not diminish yours. Their achievements do not define your potential. And their happiness does not determine your worth. Each person is on their own path, with their own timing and their own lessons. The key is to focus on your path, to nurture your growth, and to celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems. Comparison also robs you of joy in the present moment. You may have wonderful things happening in your life right now, but when your mind is constantly looking at others, you fail to notice them. You overlook the beauty, the opportunities, and the love that already surrounds you. And the irony is, in trying to reach someone else's life, you miss the richness of your own. Finally, understand that your journey is unique and valuable. You do not need to replicate someone else's life to be happy, successful, or fulfilled. Your life is yours to create, and your experiences, struggles, and achievements are meaningful in ways no one else's can ever be. Comparison is a thief. It steals time, energy, and joy, and the moment you stop giving it power, you reclaim your freedom, your peace, and your ability to grow. So, my dear friends, the next time you feel the urge to compare, pause, take a deep breath, remind yourself that your journey is yours alone, celebrate your progress, embrace your unique path, and focus on becoming the best version of yourself, not a copy of someone else. Because the true measure of life is not how you stack up against others. It is how fully you live your own. Procrastination, it is something almost all of us struggle with, and yet we often fail to recognize just how much it is holding us back. We tell ourselves, I'll start tomorrow, I'll get to it later, or I need the perfect moment. And in saying these things, we believe we are being responsible, patient, or careful. But the truth is, procrastination is not about time. It is about fear. Fear of failure, fear of discomfort, fear of stepping into the unknown. And every time we give in to it, we are quietly giving up on our potential. When you procrastinate, you are not just delaying a task, you are delaying your own growth, your own progress, your own dreams. Each time you wait for the right time, that time becomes an illusion. There is no perfect moment, no flawless opportunity, no magic hour when everything will suddenly fall into place. Life is messy, unpredictable, and imperfect. And yet, we wait for perfection because we are afraid to act in the present. Procrastination creates a cycle that is hard to break. You delay a task, which increases stress and guilt. The stress makes the task feel even more daunting, which leads to more delay. And the longer you wait, the heavier the task becomes in your mind. What could have been accomplished in a few hours now feels impossible. And in the process, your confidence erodes, your energy drains, and your motivation disappears. Many of us think that we work better under pressure, and that is why we wait. But what we fail to realize is that pressure is not a strategy. It is a symptom of poor planning and fear. Waiting until the last minute forces you to rush, limits your creativity, and often results in subpar work. But more importantly, it trains your mind to associate action with stress instead of clarity. Every time you delay, your brain learns that action is uncomfortable, which only makes procrastination stronger. The danger of procrastination is not just in lost time, it is in lost opportunities. While you are waiting, life is moving. Opportunities that were once available may vanish. Doors that were open may close. Moments that could have propelled you forward pass by, unnoticed and unused. And over time, this accumulation of delays becomes regret. You realize that it wasn't that you lacked talent, resources, or ability. It was that you lacked the courage to act when it mattered. Procrastination also steals your sense of accomplishment. Completing a task gives a sense of fulfillment, a boost of confidence. and momentum to tackle the next challenge. When you procrastinate, you deprive yourself of that feeling. You replace it with guilt, anxiety, and self doubt. And the more you procrastinate, the more difficult it becomes to start anything at all. It becomes a habit, a pattern that feels normal, even natural, but slowly erodes your potential. So, how do we overcome procrastination? The first step is awareness. You must recognize when you are procrastinating and admit it honestly to yourself. It requires self reflection and courage, because denial is the first tool procrastination uses to keep you stuck. Once you admit it, you can begin to break the cycle. The second step is action, small, deliberate, and consistent action. You don't have to solve everything at once. You don't have to create a perfect plan. Start with one small step, one action that moves you forward. Often, starting is the hardest part. But once you begin, momentum builds naturally. Action feeds motivation, and momentum reduces fear. Another powerful strategy is to reframe your mindset. Stop thinking about the task as something painful or overwhelming. Instead, see it as an opportunity to grow, to learn, to move closer to your goals. Change your perspective from, I have to do this, to, I get to do this. When you approach your tasks with a sense of purpose, procrastination loses its grip. Also, break tasks into smaller, manageable pieces. Often, we procrastinate because a task feels too big or intimidating, but no mountain is climbed in a single step. Focus on the next small action, not the entire journey. Celebrate progress, even if it feels minor, because every step forward weakens the power of delay. Lastly, remember that courage is not the absence of fear, it is taking action despite fear. Procrastination thrives on fear, uncertainty, and self-doubt. When you act even when you are scared, when you start even when conditions are imperfect, you reclaim control over your life. You signal to yourself that your dreams matter more than your comfort. My dear friends, procrastination is not a harmless habit, it is a silent thief. It steals your time, your energy, your confidence, and your opportunities. It disguises itself as patience or strategy, but in reality, it is fear in disguise. Every time you choose to delay, you choose comfort over growth, hesitation over action, and doubt over courage. The moment you realize that the perfect time will never come, and the moment you take that first step despite fear, procrastination loses its power. And from that moment, your life begins to move forward, one action at a time. Every small effort compounds into momentum, every decision to start builds confidence, and every day you take action becomes a day closer to the life you truly want. So, don't wait, don't delay, don't tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, because tomorrow is promised to no one, and today is the only moment you truly have to act. Start now, take that first step, and watch how your courage transforms your life. The way we speak to ourselves is one of the most powerful forces in our lives, yet it is also one of the most overlooked. Negative self-talk is silent, subtle, and relentless. It creeps in through small phrases we repeat in our minds, the judgments we pass on ourselves, and the constant comparison to an ideal we believe we are failing to reach. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I'll never be successful. These thoughts feel natural because we have heard them so often since childhood, that we assume they are truths. But they are not truths. They are lies. Habits of the mind that have grown unchecked and now govern the way we live our lives. Negative self talk affects every aspect of life. It shapes our confidence, our decisions, and our ability to pursue our dreams. When we constantly tell ourselves that we are inadequate, our minds start to believe it. We unconsciously act according to these beliefs. We avoid challenges, shy away from opportunities, and settle for less than we are capable of achieving. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because we think we are weak. We act in ways that limit ourselves, which reinforces the original thought, and the cycle continues. One of the most dangerous things about negative self-talk is that it feels like truth. Our mind repeats these thoughts so often that we forget they are just thoughts, not facts. We fail to question them, fail to challenge them, fail to realize that we are listening to a voice that often wants to keep us small, comfortable, and safe, even when safety comes at the cost of growth and happiness. This self-critical voice can manifest in many ways. It might appear as perfectionism, where nothing you do is ever good enough. It might show up as fear of failure, where you avoid taking action because you believe you will not succeed. It might take the form of doubt, where you second guess every decision, every choice, every step forward. No matter the form, the effect is the same. It limits your potential, undermines your confidence, and erodes your peace of mind. The roots of negative self-talk often begin early. Many of us grow up internalizing criticism from parents, teachers, or peers. Words spoken in moments of frustration or impatience are remembered and replayed in our minds for years. We hear, "You're not smart enough," or "You'll never succeed," and slowly, those words become a part of the narrative we tell ourselves. Over time, the narrative becomes automatic. We rarely stop to question it because it feels familiar, comfortable, and true. But familiarity does not equal truth. The good news is that negative self-talk can be changed. Awareness is the first step. You must recognize when you are being self-critical. Pause and notice your inner dialogue. Is the voice you hear in your mind encouraging, or is it tearing you down? Is it helping you grow, or is it keeping you stuck? Awareness allows you to step outside the automatic loop and begin to challenge it. The second step is to speak to yourself as you would to someone you love. Imagine if a close friend came to you with the same thoughts you are telling yourself. Would you berate them, criticize them endlessly, or would you encourage them, support them, and remind them of their strengths? The truth is, we often treat others with more kindness and compassion than we treat ourselves. Learning to treat yourself with the same patience and care is transformative. Another important strategy is to reframe your thoughts. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," try saying, "I will do my best, and that is enough." Instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," remind yourself, "I am growing, learning, and improving every day." Words shape reality because they shape your mindset. By consciously choosing positive, empowering words, you start to rewire your brain to focus on possibility rather than limitation. Self-talk also influences action. When you encourage yourself, when you affirm your capabilities, you are more likely to take risks, embrace challenges, and persist despite setbacks. Positive self-talk fuels resilience. Negative self-talk fuels fear. Every thought you allow in your mind either builds you up or tears you down, and you get to choose which voice you listen to. It is also important to practice gratitude and acknowledge your achievements, no matter how small. Celebrate every step forward, every lesson learned, every challenge faced. These small victories serve as evidence that you are capable, worthy, and resilient. Over time, they weaken the power of negative self-talk and replace it with confidence and self-respect. My dear friends, negative self-talk is a silent prison. It keeps you from pursuing your dreams, from believing in yourself, and from living fully. It disguises itself as honesty or realism, but in reality, it is fear in disguise. The moment you become aware of it, challenge it, and replace it with kindness, encouragement, and truth, you reclaim your mind, you reclaim your confidence, you reclaim your life. Remember, your inner voice is the soundtrack of your life. Choose to make it one that uplifts, inspires, and motivates you rather than one that criticizes, doubts, and limits you. Because the way you speak to yourself today shapes the person you become tomorrow and ultimately the life you live.